You're listening to Building a Creative Life. I'm Pam Vale, an artist and writer. This podcast is about the small, often overlooked ways creativity shows up in real life, in what we notice and in what we choose to respond to. Here you'll find conversations and reflections shaped by curiosity, not instruction. No expectations, nothing to master. Just room to pay attention and trust where that leads. Today I'm talking with USA Today best-selling author Ann Charles. Ann started writing in the mid-90s, though that wasn't the life she first imagined for herself. Over the years, she's built a body of work that blends mystery, romance, and the supernatural in a way that feels true to her own voice. We talk about self-publishing and the freedom that gave her. We talk about marketing and community support, collaborating with her husband, and the journey of a creative career. It's a grounded conversation about writing and about what it looks like to keep choosing the work that you love. Stay with us till the end for my personal reflections on our conversation. Well, hello, Ann. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me on here today.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that we connected, and I'm excited to share what you do with our audience and get to know you a little bit. And I think we have some things in common, and I would love it if you could start by sharing a little bit about your creative path or maybe what you do.
Well, okay, so I am an author, writing fiction, mixed genres. So I mix together mystery, romance, supernatural, adventure, action, all together. It's just my favorite movies all mixed up in one, you know. So I've been doing this since, well, I first published in January 2011, but I've really been doing it since the mid-90s, when I first started trying and wrote my first book by hand. And then it wasn't, 15 years later till I actually had something out there. So I also lived some life in the midst of that, divorced, remarried, moved, kids, all in the process of all this happening. So I just finally made it. In 2013, I was able to quit my day job as a technical writer and go full time with writing as a career. And if this is what our family does, my husband and I work together. So this is full time for our family now for, I think, 12 years, going on 13.
Wow.
And I'm working on book 40 at the moment. I have 5 different series ongoing that I try to keep up with. And one of the series my husband and I co-write. So that's kind of a fun, different, kind of a thing that I do. Other than that, I'm independent, although I'm hybrid because I do have audiobooks through an official publisher. And I started out by creating my own publishing company and then with a partner and left that and then went solo in 2015 and just been writing and I don't know, living the writing life.
Wow. Okay. There is so much that I want to talk to you about in that little tidbit. So I guess my first personal question is, were you always a writer? Like as a young person, was that something that, I know you said you did technical writing for a profession before this, but just
Right.
as a child, as a young adult, was that something you were drawn to?
No, writing seemed like a lot of work. I didn't want to do it. I have told the story before, so if any of my repeat listeners, but I wanted to be an archaeologist at one point, but then I felt like that's a lot of writing and I don't really want to do that much writing. So now I write an archaeology mystery series called the Dig Site series. So I get my archaeology in there and I actually write a lot to make it happen and do a ton of research. So I read a lot of books always. Writing wasn't my thing. I went to college. I went to 4 different colleges on my way to getting my 4-year degree, moving around a lot. And each one made me take the English 101 equivalent again and again and again. And by the fourth one, I was, talking to my advisor saying, do you not see the three previous English 101 basic, classes on my, my college resume, basically? And she said, yes, but we think our English class has a little more. And I was thinking, that's what everyone has said. So by the fourth one, I ended up getting this degree in creative writing, and it wasn't because that was my dream. It was because I had to work a full-time day job, and so I could only take night classes at the university, and they had 10 programs at the time that were night programs, and one was English. I was coming in from taking a bunch of Spanish here in northern Arizona when I was going here. And so I'd really wanted to major in Spanish and continue that, but there was no program like that to get a degree. So I went with English and then added creative writing as a kind of minor onto it. And by then I had written one book, maybe part of another, just out of experimenting because I wanted to create my own story with my own ending, and that fulfilled me, ending wise with what I wanted. So that was how it started, and um, I just kept going. And I wasn't great out of the gate at all. I submitted to a publisher, and they kindly refused me, but they were very nice and said I showed potential, and I naively believed them. So I kept going, and it just built from that. And I kind of fell backwards into, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. And when I think back, I laugh at, whatever your beliefs are, but it's the universe telling me, no, you're going to do English. No, you're going to do English, And at one point, my father even said, he's a very practical man, a farmer. What will you do with an English degree? And I said, I don't know. I'll figure out something. So it's really been a stumble into it. And I found that I could sit, when I sit in meetings for businesses or different things I would daydream a lot. I couldn't focus. But once I got into the writing world, I could zero in and focus 100% on whether we're talking about writing or marketing or whatever. It just, kind of the realization of, oh, this is what I'm meant to do.
It's so interesting because so there were two things that you touched on that I wanted to talk about. And one of them was how you said that you wanted control over the story and how it ended. And I feel like
Right.
it that is such a great motivation for creative expression. On my podcast, obviously, I talk a lot about creative expression, personal self knowledge, and everything through creativity. And
Uh-huh.
I found for me, also being an artist, there were many projects or mediums that I took up because for the same reason, maybe there were clothes that I wasn't finding, in
Right.
stores or whatever. So I made them.
Right.
So I think that's a great lesson or takeaway for people to hear that, like, if there's something out there that you're looking for that you're not finding, like, you could
Yes.
make it, you can write the
Right.
story, you can make the clothes, you can, develop the program, whatever it is. I think that that's a great takeaway.
Yes. I mean, it's not doing it, going into it for the money.
Hmm.
Um, that was never my thought, even back when I wrote the first book. And then when I decided to submit it to editors and experience that lovely process, it was never about, I'm going to get rich doing this job. It's, the whole, I'm going to write a book and it's going to sell millions. It was never there. It was, I'm going to write this story and, oh, hey, I wrote it. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not, and it wasn't. Um, but I'm going to try again because I was enjoying the storytelling process. And then it just kept building from there to where I felt like I got the storytelling part down a little better, but I knew, boy, did I lack on the marketing that was going to be necessary. Because in this current environment, it's not like, I mean, I'm sure there's authors that do well that can just focus on writing, but majority have to work on the marketing aspect. And if you're independent, even more, you have to get yourself out there. So there's a lot to learn in that. And I feel like I went through and got, you know, maybe even a master's degree in marketing through all my experiences and learning and stuff I did, putting it into practice. Um, And I never thought I'd be into marketing. And I don't love it like I like writing, but I do enjoy parts of it, definitely.
Yeah. And you touched on attention. And I know that right now it's sort of like a buzzword of people being multi-passionate or I can't think of the other word, but where they have a lot of creative interest or a lot of interest. And also neurodivergent, where people learn differently or think differently. And I think you pointing out that having a different outlet changed the way you concentrated or changed your focus, because I think that's really
Yes.
important too to hear about.
Yeah, I think a lot of people come out of high school, you don't know what you want to do. You don't know what you want to be. Maybe you go to college and sometimes you hit it, you land it, but other times you still feel like, I'm not sure this is what I want to do. I just had to pick, among
Mm-hmm.
choices that were offered to me. So, the whole idea of keep yourself open to figure out what it is that you really, find passion in, that really pulls at you. And sometimes it takes patience to wait for that to come.
And sometimes it comes when you like least expect it. Like you're not looking
Right.
for it, you know? I don't think
Yeah.
you shared you were not looking for a career in writing as your like main source of income, you know? And here, look at you.
Right. Yeah, this was nothing. I don't I don't know where I was going by that time. Um, and I explored not just archaeology, being a flight attendant sounded fun. The travel, I just kind of almost went into some law programs, but then I was like, no, I think that's not really for me. I didn't like the structure of that. So, trying to find the structure that fit.
Definitely. And I know you do travel, and that's part of your, I'm
Right.
assuming, part of your creative process, or maybe research, or is it
Well, you
enjoyment?
mean, are you thinking the pictures? I do a lot of pictures and now
Yes.
videos. Yeah, that was in my first marriage. I was the guy. He was learning how going through schooling and stuff. Self a lot learned to be a photographer, and so with nature. So we would travel all over, and I would carry the gear, and I would while he was taking photographs, wonderful photographs, I would go try to find more places for him to take photographs, and scout out different areas and try to picture the scene and do all that. So I found that I enjoyed doing that. And so we divorced and I remarried, and I would still take pictures of, I'd go looking and try to line up the shots because I'd studied all this photography back then for, to help him out. And so I was taking a lot of pictures, and I was heading south. We were moving from Washington to Arizona, and my niece said, "Hey, I'm setting you up on Instagram. You're going to start uploading some of your pictures you take because you're really good at taking pictures." So she got me to do that, and I started uploading the pictures, and yeah, got a lot of positive responses. So I kept going, and now I do every year we do a calendar, and I mean we do all kinds of stuff with the photography, and it just seems like it goes really well with what I do writing,
Hmm.
the two go together. And so I don't claim to be a professional photographer at all. I don't have the money in the camera equipment to say I am.
Yeah, but
But
our phones are amazing
exactly,
cameras.
that's what I
Yeah.
do. I do stuff with my iPhone, and I always
Hmm.
have. And so it's just a matter of choosing the shot. And so, yeah, that has become something as well. And we're going to continue over on my YouTube channel. I'm now doing videos set to music, kind of Zen thing to
Okay.
relax, and letting readers see where I'm at, and that way they can enjoy it with me. But I also want to start doing, some longer slideshows, kind of with set to music, like you've seen that are like screensaver kind of things on your TV. I want to do that with some of the photography because I have a ton of,
Hmm.
pictures. So keep doing that, and my goal is always to entertain the readers who hang out with me, continually finding ways to just, make them smile, help them through whatever they're dealing with, including the books, so all that together.
Yeah. And you, with your writing, did you say that you wrote one of your books longhand? Did you say you
Yeah,
read? Mhm.
the very first, I wrote that thing out, and I still have it. It can never see the light of day, but I do have it, and it's fun to keep as a reminder of, why did I start doing this?
Hmm.
What was the idea? And it was romance. I was trying to break into the romance world. I had read Stephen King westerns, romances growing up, so I just wanted to try, my hand at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ended up about 3 books in. I changed mid book that I was writing from romance to mystery, was
Okay.
the romantic subplot, and then I kind of felt like, oh, this is it. This is what I need to do. And throwing supernatural in came just. It was just like, yes, this needs to be in here too for some of the series. So I do have supernatural mixed in with 4 of the books, our series. One series is not quite that.
And what are some of your books or movies that inspired you for these different genres, like to combine them?
So one of my favorites, The Mummy, not the old one, the one with Brendan Fraser.
Hmm.
I like that. I love that show, and that's a really good blend of adventure, romance, and supernatural. And I also love Twister, with Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt. And that's a great one for adventure action, with the romance plot. So um, those are 2 of my favorites. I also like the movie Tremors, which is like a cult classic kind of thing with Kevin Bacon. And again, there's a little bit of romance, but it's monsters, action. So you see, I just have these that I flow toward. But I like science fiction movies. I love a bit of horror, like The Thing, and so that's all that stuff. I think plays into why I have such a mix in my stories. It's because I can't, and I always wanted to just pick one and stick with it, and that caused me a lot of problems initially because in the 90s, early 2000s, the publishers wanted you to do 60 to 70% of what, was it a romance? Was it a mystery? What is it? And mine were not. They were like 40, 40, 30. So it was hard for me to land a place to, for my books, but I knew there would be other readers out there like me that enjoyed this mix.
And it's great that you followed that. There's a author that actually probably lives not far from you, Diana Gabaldon, who does Outlander, the
Mm,
Outlander series.
I think she's
And
over in Sedona, yeah.
yeah, so she had the same issue. Obviously, Outlander became like an immense hit in the last couple of years, but same thing. Like, where did she land? Was it romance? Was it science fiction? Was it, history?
Right.
what was it? And she just kept going. Like, she just did her
Yes.
thing. And it sounds like it was similar for you, that you just stuck with what interested you and assumed that there would become a place for it, or that there would an audience would find it.
Yes, yeah, it was in the older in back when it was about where do we place it on a shelf because it's
Yeah.
a physical product. I understand that you have to, kind of pick a team where you're going to land, but it was a real boon that, with Amazon and other digital publishers, ebook publishers, that you could be on 3 different shelves. And so it opened the world, I think, to some really amazing stories that might not have landed or might not have been, taken up in the old business model because they had rules they were following more,
And a physical product. And I think it just
and a
made it
physical
it
product.
made it better for the reader too, because
Yes,
it gave you access, or you found out about things that you might not have seen if you were just going to a certain section.
exactly. It really, and there's both sides of the tale about oh, the gatekeepers were there for a good purpose. They would review books. They kept out, the bad stuff. But then also, they also kept what didn't fit what their models were. So, I've heard both sides of it where, oh, this is not good. Oh, this is good. But as a reader, I love that I have so many options now and so much to choose from. And there isn't somebody going, well, we only think you're going to like this.
Right.
Um, Maybe I'm a bit of a maverick, but I've always found that I don't like what you think I'm going to like. I'm going to like something else.
Absolutely. And the whole your writing process. So a lot of people that listen to my podcast are newer to like figuring out their creative expression or what they want to do. And I would love if you could share a little bit about like what the process is. You have so many titles and so many series. How do you keep them organized? Like where do you store your little nuggets of ideas that you're going to use? Like how does that look for you?
Well, I do have notebooks where I keep, where I keep a lot of notes, and I do scene and sequel as I write, and I write all that down. So I have that. But I also met a wonderful woman back when I was like 4 books in, and she came to a book signing for someone else. It was a big group signing. She came for someone else, and she came over to me and she said, "Hey, I've read your books." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And she liked them. And we talked for a little bit. And she said, "Did you know you changed your character's eye color, one of them from book 2 to 3?" And I was like, "Oh, I was afraid of that. It's really hard to keep track of that, all the details." And she said, um, I would be willing, I like to kind of keep track of that stuff. I'd be willing to do that for you, for your books." And I was like, "I have been waiting for you to arrive on scene." And she now has a business where she does, it's called World Keeper. And her name's Diane, and she does this for other authors as well now. And she still does, helps me. But yeah, she keeps a OneNote kind of database for me
Mm-hmm.
that has a synopsis of each book. I mean, it's so full of stuff. I can't tell you everything that's in there, but it talks about the characters, their favorites, all the things I need to know. So it's all kept together there, plus all my notebooks. And so I just have to totally switch out when I finish a book, because I can't write multiples at a time. I'm just not that talented. Um, I have to switch everything out and change the scene, and now I'm in this, world, and we do it this way. So that's really how I kind of keep track. And it takes me a little gear grinding to shift into the next book. I can't just go like that. I have to read the stories, go through all my notes, just kind of sink back into that world and then start up. So I wish I was faster or I could write multiple at the same time. I
Mm-hmm.
just can't. It's
How
not, my
and
brain doesn't work that way.
No, and I think a lot of people are like that too, where it's, you focus, especially because you're building a world. So, you know,
Right.
it'd be hard to step from one to the other. But what a cool thing for this woman to like build a career out of obviously something that she enjoys or is good at or knows how to
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Like,
and it's amazing. Yeah, she has clients that they write westerns that are series, anything with series, and she keeps track for you, and it's huge. I mean,
yeah.
that's some people say, "Oh, it's not that important if you change just the eye color," but when you get a binge reader, my one of my series, my longest is up to 14 books now and going, and if you binge them and I've screwed up some stuff like that, you're going to catch it. And it's going to ruin the story somewhat. It's going to bring you back to reality a
Mm-hmm.
little, too much for me. I want you to be in this story world and so locked in that when you finish book 14, you put it down and you have that book hangover feeling where you're like, wait a second, this whole world is going on around me, but I've forgotten about it. And so I really think that those little details are important, keeping everything, as true as possible. And because of that, I have a couple month editing process, not just with a professional editor, but I have first draft readers that are always looking for inconsistencies. And then I have a beta crew that they'll read all the series right before it's time. And then they read the new book and they let me know of any consistencies they might find. So it takes me a while to go through all the process to get the book out because I want it to be as best as it can be once it hits print.
Right, because someone might not even realize it like consciously, but I think like that continuity, that thread
Yes.
definitely um, can be
And
broken.
that's the thing with the series. I mean, these aren't standalone like a Nancy Drew. They're they build on each other. So I have to keep growing the characters, keep in mind the series plot line, and where I'm going, where I'm at in the arc of that whole series, and keep building. And with the Deadwood series, which is the longer one at this point, I did not know when I started. I wrote a single title, I thought. And then I finished it and I was like, no, there's more to this. And I went, really? Because I was raised in the author world of standalones. There wasn't a lot of series back when I was, in the different reading worlds. So then I went, oh. I guess I can see it. Okay, okay. So then I had to go, okay, what happens next? And it kept building to where this, I feel like the series arc has been like a dark shadow that slowly keeps moving back as I keep writing. And I keep thinking, well, I think I see the end. Nope, this is just a turning point, you know? So it's been really kind of fun to do that as well and
Yeah.
experience the whole series world.
How do you feel when you finish something? Is it a relief? Is it sad? Is it like,
I am so relieved because I made it through another one, and if I like it, it's like yes. And you know, another thing with series is that your next one has to be a little bit better than the one before, and maybe not like amazingly better, but you have to keep changing the story enough that they feel like, oh, I loved the last one, but I love this one too. Oh, and I love this one. So each book I try to make have its own. It has its own theme. It has its own purpose. You know, and each book a superstar. No fillers, no just bridges. It has to be a really solid story. And then I also try to make it so if you pick up at book 11, you can read it and get what's happening. It won't be as fun as had you started at the beginning,
mm-hmm.
but you can follow through and enjoy the story still. So there's a couple things that I work on to try to make it better. So when I finish a book and I feel like I nailed it, and it goes through beta team all the way through to the betas who are last and they love it, then I finally feel relaxed. Like, okay, I did it. But there's, you know, often equate writing books to mountain climbing. You go up and you come back to base camp. And when I'm done, I'm sitting at base camp already looking at the next mountain going, how am I going to climb that one? I got to scale it, you know, and get all prepped for that. So it's mountain ranges that just keep, you know, I climb one and I got to climb another.
I love that visual of it. I think a lot of creative projects are like that. You know, it's
Right.
just one mountain after after another.
Yeah, and if you try to rush it, well, then you lose the joy of the process of this whole thing, which isn't always a joy, but the whole idea of I scaled that mountain, I did it. Now it's time for a different one. Let's go try this one. You know, it's such a rewarding feel when you finally get to publish that and put it out there for everybody.
How do you feel about all the praise that you get? Is that like pressure, or is it, are you able to like absorb it?
It is a lot of pressure because, like I said, I feel like as a writer, you get one screw up. So one free screw up. And if I write two bad books, then I'm going to start losing readers because they're going to be like, I'm just not enjoying what she's writing. And that happens on some level always because you don't go maybe the way somebody wants. But, you know, you still have the majority that enjoy the stories that you're telling. So, you know, there's always the worry of is this going to be the one where I drop the ball? Um, and negative reviews suck, but they're necessary. I think they make you look more legit. That you're not just paying for reviews. And positive reviews are wonderful and they make you feel great, but they also, for me, make me feel like, oh crap, I'm gonna let him down at some point. And so I will. I appreciate when people email me and I write back always and thank them and talk to them, but I try not to read reviews too much because they mess with my psyche a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's super normal. I don't know how
Yeah.
you can not have that happen, you know?
Yeah, you can easily become obsessed.
Yeah.
And then who is this person? Why don't they like me? Why didn't they? And just you'll beat yourself up.
Right. And I think
And
it can affect your work too. Creatively, I think it can definitely affect, make you second guess yourself or
well, and
not
that's a
do
lot of
something.
things. Sometimes you'll get readers or reviewers that say, "I wish that you would do this or do this or tell this or have it like this." And I feel like I have to be so careful because I have to tell the story that's in here.
Right.
And I love that people like to share ideas, but I can't write that story. I have to write the story that's in, not just my head, but in my heart and let that come out. Or it's not going to be Ann Charles anymore. It's going to be, when I was trying to get published long ago, one of the publishing houses we submitted to loved my style, but they wanted me to tell their stories that they kind of had a template for. And I said, I can't do that because I can't even follow my own outlines that well. And I can see this is going to go south by like the first turning point in the story. We're going to start being mad at each other, and then it's just going to devolve into this horrible thing, you know. So I really have to try to stay true to what the story is that I'm going to tell, or I'm not going to enjoy telling it, I feel.
And I think that's true with most creative projects. I always felt
Yes.
like I was a selfish artist because I picked things that interested me. I worked in
Right.
mediums that I wanted to work in. I chose subject matter that I wanted to do. And I think that that's a really important part of creative expression and finding out
Yes.
about yourself and what you like. And
Right. And not everybody's going to like what you like, but that's good. I mean, that's why there's so many of us. Someone else will. You'll you know, my sense of humor. I use humor a lot in the stories, and it doesn't always land with everybody. Some people have a different sense of humor, and that's fine. I try to look at it as I'm finding more people in the world to be friends with that share a sense of humor, and we can laugh at the same things, and that's wonderful when you can find those people.
right, and especially just because the borders are broken down. I mean,
Right.
because of this podcast, I've met people all over the world, and it's just amazing to me to have, especially in something like writing or art that can be a little more solitary, or, I love being home. And so,
Yes.
it's great to have these opportunities to connect with other creatives and hear what they do and how they do it.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I agree. I love, you know, I know it's not always been great, the internet, social media, and all that, but there's been a lot of positives that come too with some of the negatives. And I think it's wonderful because, like you, I work from home. And if I didn't have friends online, um, it would get a little lonely after a while, even though, you know, my family's here and my husband writes too. But, you know, having some people, you know, making friends all over the world is really fun.
Yeah, especially when you can talk about like art and creativity. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
And you said you collaborate with your husband on one of the series, and like
Right.
how different is that writing process from when you write for yourself or write by yourself?
So we work together. We're not like some writers that write one part and then the other writes the other part and then they write one part. We do it more. We brainstorm together. We come up scene and sequels, the ideas, and then he takes it and he goes and writes. And then, you know, we build a book that way. And when he's done and he hands it off to me, then I go through and there's things that I focus on in the story that I add elements to. We equate it kind of to building a house. You know, we start with the plans. He builds a lot of the, you know, foundation and structure. And then I like to come in and, you know, do some of the drywalling and interior stuff. And together we agree, we have to agree, you know, and read it together. Um, and whoever has the strongest feelings about it wins the argument, you know, on what's going to happen or what's not. And then we just push forth. So it's been a different experience. I mean, we've remodeled our house together. We've had kids together and raised them, and now we have book kids together, you know, and raised them. So it's um, I'm so fortunate that I'm so close to him that we can do this and blend our voices like this. But again, I often know or hear about a lot of authors working with other authors and they write together. And I just think, how do you do that and not get angry at each other and, you know, not stop talking because you're so angry, you know, with this creative process. But maybe it's just me and I'm just more in controlling of my creativity and what happens.
Does he write other things separate from you also, or no? Is it
Not yet.
okay?
Not no. He's been here since the beginning with the, you know, background and helping with so many parts of it, and then he joined me in the writing, and I think in time he will, but at this point this kind of takes up everything, plus, you know, the whole business takes up. There's a lot behind the scenes that goes
Yeah.
into writing and marketing that
And you said you
I don't know if.
self-published, right? You
Yes, we're indies, except for the audiobooks. That's where we don't necessarily all the audiobooks. So there's so much behind the scenes work that goes into each book and marketing constantly that keeps us busy.
well, it's
Plus
great that you
kids.
have yeah, it's great that you have help with that.
Yes, very supportive. I have been very fortunate throughout my career that my family, not just my immediate family, but my siblings and parents and everybody has been so supportive and helpful. My oldest sister is my bookkeeper. Um, and that's great, except she can tell me what to do. And I still do it
Right.
like the younger
And it's like
sister,
has
right?
valid reasons behind it.
She can boss me around. I'll go, okay, okay. Um, and my husband's oldest sister, she is our assistant. She's always, she does a lot of behind the scene works, helping us with marketing. And so, not just that family from out, my brother is our artist. He does the original artwork for the covers and the original illustrations on the inside. And he's been there since the beginning. So, we just and then it goes from there. There's just family helping all the time. My stepmom from the beginning has been one of my first draft readers, and always reading and giving me feedback. And so I'm just so fortunate to have all that support behind me to keep going.
It's really beautiful. And for people that don't have like actual blood relatives, you can find people to build a team around yourself for
Oh
projects that you
yeah,
have. Yeah, absolutely. It's very important.
definitely. Good friends. The thing I always tell authors is don't you can't expect them to do it for free.
Mm.
You have to offer something in return for their time to show that you value them. And so yeah, even though it's family, we pay. It's a business. So nothing is just for free and giveaway. Um, we try to always compensate for it. Doesn't
Hmm.
mean there's times when things don't, oh, here, just take it, do it. But it's really important to make them feel valued, I think, by offering
Absolutely.
some kind of compensation.
Absolutely. And I think it keeps people from getting resentful and
Right.
keeps your relationships intact better.
Exactly.
Definitely. Do you have other creative outlets other than your photography and obviously writing?
I don't think I have time for it. I used to have so much more time.
Hmm.
I have kids. That's a lot. Family is important to me, so I try to, when I'm not working, spend time either gaming with them,
Hmm.
whatever, taking trips, that kind of a thing. Um, and I'm trying to learn Spanish again due to some trips I have coming, refresh all that from 30 years ago.
Hmm.
Uh, but I don't really, everything I do tends to be around the writing, reading, or photography world. So I think I've filled up all, my dance card with those, and that's all
Yeah,
I
and
can
what you
handle
love
at
it
this point.
too. And you
Yeah,
love what you
yeah,
do. And
exactly.
how do you like recharge or refuel your inspiration?
I watch TV and movies. I'm not reading books is great, and I know a lot of authors recharge with that, and I'll read books too, some of my favorites. And sometimes I just read the same books over and over again because they recharge me and they give me that, oh, I want to do this again. But a lot of what I get for creativity comes from television series that I love or movies. And I like to think of myself as if I were the director. How would I introduce this scene? What would I show? How would I do this? And then take that visual and put it to the page so that that's how, when I start a book, it's the start of a movie. How am I going to introduce this movie? What am I going to show you right out of the gate that gets going with the plot? So I have to be able to picture it to write it a lot of times. And so I'm very visual that way.
Hmm. That's a great reminder that different mediums or creative mediums can definitely inform your own practice as far as
Right.
inspiration or how you want something to look. And it could be something
Right.
totally different, like avenue that you take into
R-
your own work.
yeah. Yeah. I don't want to ever direct and do a
No.
create direct a movie. That's not my thing.
Hmm.
But I do appreciate what a director puts into it
Hmm.
because they're like the writer. In many ways, I mean, I know there's screenwriters that write this stuff, but then the director has to bring it to life, which is what an
Hmm.
author does. We have to bring it all to life, all the components, and make it, you know, become a living, breathing story.
Absolutely. Are there any projects you have coming up that you're like really excited about?
Well, no, We're putting out a couple more books this year. We're aiming for three. And I say aiming, I used to write 3 books a year, but then a lot of stuff happened in life that kind of slowed me down. I lost a parent. I had all these things where it was draining, and I slowed way down creativity wise. And for the last 2 years, I was able to get 1 book out each year, which is not good, because it's not good for me creatively. I can't speak this morning. I need I need to create to find my happy place. And if I'm not creating, I can go a while, but then like a car running out of fuel, I will eventually sputter to a stop. And I need to write to be, happy and feel like that dopamine hit maybe. And so I'm coming off a couple years of just a single book a year because of life, but I think the stars are aligned now. Everything's running smooth. Knock on wood that I say that. And I'm going to, my husband and I are writing the 1 book together. I'm writing another book, the 7th book in my Jackrabbit Junction series. And I'm going to try to get Deadwood 15 up and running and get it, in the works to release early next year. So I'm excited about that. Being able to maybe get back to work again and get things flowing. And trying some new things marketing wise, creative, more along those lines, like a YouTube page, kind of pulling away from social media and aiming for more like where you come to my sites, a Patreon site that I've been building, YouTube that I keep adding to, stuff like that. So that's kind of exciting to change it up.
Definitely. I think it's important to do that. And also it gives you a little bit of a different creative outlet, like especially with doing the longer videos you might want to do.
Right.
And then, weaving in your photography and all of that. I think
Right.
it opens like other doors in what you're already doing, I feel like.
Yeah, it just makes me, I just keep, it helps me think of something else. If you just sit there and you don't do anything, then it's like you go nowhere.
I know.
But it seems like once you start the ball rolling, other things come along too.
It's really so true. You just have to like have some movement. Just have some
Yes,
action, a little bit of action, and then you don't know where it's going to go.
exactly. Just keep pushing forward. I mean, this whole career has been that basically for me, just things, pushing this way and it opened up here, push this way, it opens up here. It's been like that all along. So, when I was really getting down on myself last year about just being in such a pit and I can't get going, I kind of had to remember and go through it, the past, and think, yeah, remember how you kind of pulled yourself up out of this and you just pushed on, even if it seemed like you don't know if this is going to be successful or not. It doesn't matter. You're doing something. So, yeah, just kind of talking myself into keeping going.
Right. And you had opportunities pop up that you didn't, picture by doing that movement.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I will definitely
Yeah,
put all
there's
of your I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say yes, exactly. That being open to more opportunities is so important.
Definitely. I'll put all your information, your contact information in the show notes so people can find
Okay,
your books and everything. But is there anything
great.
else that you want to add that we didn't cover?
No, I can just say if you like to listen, all my books, all of the books are in audio too. So you can read ebooks, you can buy the printed books. I have an online store where I'll autograph everything. If you order from me, I'll ship it and you do whatever you want on the page, for autographing. And they're audio books, and just come hang out with me on YouTube and Patreon or all the other social media. I'm all over. So that's just it. And I'm getting moving again. So if it seems like things got a little slower, it's picking up. But I want to say that the readers have been awesome. They know what's going on, and they've been so supportive behind the scenes of, we're waiting, we're patient, we keep going. We can't wait till the next book comes out. So that's been really cool.
And it sounds like you've built a really wonderful I don't want to say like fan base, but like a supportive uh I don't know. What would
Right.
you call it?
Fan base
Fan
is
base?
good.
Is that
Group.
good? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just people around you that support your writing and are interested. I have one other question. Do you find that people read across your series, or do they stick with one series?
They do read across because I guess I should have mentioned that my series, well, they are crossovers. So
Oh,
I have
okay.
characters that are going back and forth. In the Dig Site series, the hero Quint is the brother of the heroine in my Deadwood series, Violet. They're siblings, and there's characters that go back and forth. And in the Jackrabbit series, they were neighbors of Violet Parker growing up. So the Morgan sisters, who star in that series, know, and I've had them go back and forth to Deadwood, and I've had a mutual character that is cousins with ones and best friend with the other go back and forth. And so and I really keep track of the timelines so that they fit with it. You can see when so and so's over here in this series, they'll talk about so and so's down in, Jackrabbit Junction or whatever. And it's a lot of fun creating a whole world of these characters. So, yeah, I do have a lot of crossover because you go to different series to see these characters, do this that you love, which is fun to write. It makes it more interesting. I feel like I'm building an Anne Charles world universe, with the crossovers and all that.
Which you could do. Which
Yeah.
is like your creative expression. You can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love having all this tied together. And then the series that my husband and I write is historical western with supernatural adventure humor, and that is my present day Deadwood. It's the prequel series. It's 1870s Deadwood, and some of the characters cross over because they're supernatural. So they don't live a human lifetime. So you can have that kind of fun with the past and the present. So it's really cool.
I love how playful your whole professional world is. Like what a gift, Like it's just
Sorry,
oh,
I had a
bless you.
sneeze come through.
No, no, bless you.
Yeah, I really have so much fun with that crossing over too, and I'm experiencing that right now with the Jackrabbit series #7 that I'm writing. One of the main characters from the Deadwood series is coming down, and with a couple of others from that series, and they're all fun, and it's just going to be a great party time down there with all the murder, adventure, and action, and somebody getting shot at probably, and all that good stuff. So I just love having that world, that crossover. Plus, it makes the characters even more real, I think.
Right, because it's like a real world.
Right, exactly.
Well, I am so excited for people that don't know you to discover your world and join you in it. And I am looking forward to seeing what you come up with this year and how your year unfolds. And I'm grateful that we got to meet. And thank you for your time.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always fun to talk about not just the process, but behind the scenes, the inspiration, all the good stuff that makes, you want to create something that pushes you forward. And I hope some of your listeners um, will feel uplifted that it's not just, oh, I'm going to go to college and be this great writer, that a lot of times you just get kind of thrown into stuff and it works out. So,
Mhm.
follow that path that you feel so passionate about. Even though your father or sister or spouse may think, how can you make money at that? Do it anyway,
Mhm.
right?
And it's never too late.
Right, exactly.
Never too late. Well, thank you so much, Anne. I look forward to staying in
Thanks.
touch with you.
Yes, definitely. I'll have to come back again and talk more about the creative process with you.
Absolutely. Anytime. When I think about this conversation, I think about steadiness. Anne has been writing for decades. That alone says something, and not in a flashy way. What struck me most is that she didn't begin with this crystal clear identity as a writer. She had other plans and other interests, and somewhere along the way, writing became the thing she returned to. So often, we imagine creative lives beginning with certainty, a calling, a declaration, but most of the time, it's quieter than that. It's just the thing that you keep choosing, the thing that continues to hold your attention. She blends genres, mystery, romance, supernatural elements, and she didn't talk about that in a branding strategy. It felt more like an honest reflection of what she's drawn to. We're complicated. Our interests overlap. Our inner worlds aren't organized by category. So why would our creative work be? There was also something very real in the way she spoke about community, not as a slogan and not as a tactic, but as actual people and her readers, her supporters, the ones who make it possible to keep writing independently. It reminded me that creative life might look solitary from the outside, but it's rarely lived alone. And then there's the long stretch of it, the mid-90s till now. Changes in publishing and the rise of self-publishing, shifts in technology. Through all of that, the through line has simply been this: she kept writing. That feels like the heart of it. Building a creative life isn't about arriving somewhere impressive. It's about staying in a relationship with the work, letting it change, and letting yourself change. Listening to Anne, I felt that familiar recognition. Creativity isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just endurance, curiosity, and attention. Thank you for being here. I hope something from today's conversation stays with you in a quiet way. If this episode felt meaningful, you're welcome to follow the podcast or pass it along to someone who might enjoy it. Until next time.